So I put a photo up on Threads recently that kind of went nutso mode. It just did in crazy numbers. I think it's the most engaged photo I maybe put up on the platform. And so I thought this would be an interesting opportunity to break down how I approach photography. Some of you might even know me as more of a photographer than anything else, but I've never actually explained my process. So I thought this would be a cool excuse to talk about a little piece of kit that I've been playing with and also how I get inspired to shoot cool photos. Buckle up. Like many of you, I just finished the second season of Severance, and I have been very vocal about how I think it's one of the best looking shows made in a very long time. And part of my job is breaking down why those things look so good. So I went down a rabbit hole on Severance and the look of that show and what Jessica Lee Gagne and Ben Stiller were doing and the inspiration that they were drawing from. And I had my own hypothesis about what they were playing off of, and I confirmed that hypothesis because I found an interview with Jessica Lee Gagne who mentioned Alan J. Pakula movies. And probably the most notable example would be All the President's Men, which was shot by Gordon Willis. It is just so clear that Ben and Jessica were playing off of All the President's Men for Severance, especially because most of All the President's Men takes place in an office. And also, if you're a fan of David Fincher's Zodiac, this is the blueprint. All the President's Men is the blueprint for pretty much every newspaper office movie that you think looks good. It's because of Gordon Willis and Alan J. Pakula. I've kind of always approached my photography as trying to think of every frame as like a little scene from a movie. Like you could just pull a still from a movie. That's how I want my photography to feel. And so I don't really look at other photographs or other people's street photography and stuff like that. I'm always just looking at movies. And so Severance put me on that path to rewatch All the President's Men, which has always been one of my favorite movies, and just remember how damn good this movie looks. Willis is just so great at negative space. He's so good at using single point light sources, contrast, and shadows. And sometimes you can barely even see a person's face, which I love. I love how everything is just teal from those overhead fluorescent lights. I like that they're exposed for those lights too, which means everything just drapes to darkness and shadow. And so as soon as I saw this frame, I was like, I need to shoot something like this. I need to find something that looks even remotely close to this because I love it. So the next thing is, okay, what gear and what equipment do I need to accomplish a shot like this? This is the new 40mm T1.8 Sirui 1.33x Anamorphic, and I'm actually shooting this video right now with the 20mm Anamorphic with autofocus, which is pretty damn cool if you ask me, because I can just pop this up here, look at that, go into focus, and back to me, which is nuts. I actually don't think we've talked about how insane it is that we have autofocus anamorphic lenses now, particularly for photography, which is why I think they're so great. Because I'm already trying to get these movie frames, anamorphic is a really easy way to get the movie look with a camera. And now that we have autofocus, it essentially makes any camera that you put these lenses on a point and shoot anamorphic cinema machine. So I had the lens, I threw it on my A7 IV. The next thing was to plan out a location. And I knew that I wanted these overhead fluorescent lights. So I thought, why don't I just go to a parking garage? And I was like, that's too similar. I can't just go shoot the exact same thing as that frame I'm looking at because then I'm not learning anything. I'm not creating something new. I'm just mimicking. And short side tangent, I'm not a big fan of cinematic recreations that are note for note for that particular reason. I don't think you really learn anything about your taste. You just learn how to copy somebody. So to get inspired, it's better to look at stuff that you like and aesthetics and styles and apply it to something that you're creating for yourself. You're going to learn the same skills that it takes to recreate it note for note, but at least you've made something new and you're going to have a sense of ownership over that thing. The closest thing to a parking garage that is also quite different is a subway station. So I walked to a subway station with all this information in my head, all these old Gordon Willis frames and All the President's Men, and especially that one shot with the fluorescent lights. And I just started shooting. I didn't have a whole lot of intention when I was there. I just knew that at some point I wanted to try and get that shot. If it didn't happen, it didn't happen, not the end of the world, but at least I had some intention going into the session. This is what I'm trying to grab. And through the process of even just going for a walk with the setup, I found other frames that I was very happy with. And I just kept shooting and walking around. And then finally I went outside of a subway station and I saw the shot. I saw that it was possible to get the shot that I was looking for. The lights were in the right spot. I knew there was a frame here that was interesting, but it was missing one thing. I knew that it needed a person. It needed some sort of silhouette to break up that left side. And so I just waited. I stood there and I shot and I just kind of looked around and I waited for a guy to just start walking, and then I snapped, and there you have it. So getting the shot is like 80-90%. The next part is editing. And I'm going to break down how I edited this photo right after this short break from today's sponsor, which is audio. This is my dog Beef. And when Beef needs high quality music for his projects, he likes to use audio. Isn't that right, Beef? Dude, say something. I know how difficult it can be to find good music for your videos, and audio makes it easier than ever. With Link Match, you can just pop in a track that you like, and it's gonna automatically find similar songs to the one that you're looking for. And it gets better. You can also use Hans AI, which means you just type in what you're looking for, and audio instantly pulls high quality tracks that match your vibe. But don't take Beef's word for it. Hit the link in the description and use the code Tommaso at checkout. You're gonna get 70% off your first year of a pro membership. Audio is not only affordable, they also have the coolest high quality features for creators looking for great music. Beef and I really appreciate Audio sponsoring this video, and we really appreciate you for watching this video. Let's get back to it. All right, let's talk about editing. For me, editing is just the cherry on top. You can do a lot in editing, but it always has to start with a good frame. Everything that you want, the contrast, the light, the colors, they gotta be in that shot. So you need to focus on your composition, you need to focus on your production design and your locations. Even camera settings to me is kind of irrelevant. Shoot the thing in auto, it doesn't really matter. But all the stuff that you want, that feeling has to be in the frame already. And what you're doing is just exemplifying it. You're just putting that cherry on top to give it a little more contrast, push the colors into a certain area that you'd like a little bit more, but you cannot polish a turd. Go out and shoot and get cool shit and then make it look even a little bit more cooler when you bring it into the edit. So I edit all my photos in Lightroom, and essentially what I did was I just pulled up that shot from All the President's Men and I tried to tweak my highlights and my white balance to match the tones of the teal that was coming from that fluorescent. And I just did some contrast, a little bit of shadow, some exposure stuff. I really like rich, inky blacks, and that's what I did in Lightroom. So it was a really easy, simple thing. I just don't want you to get caught in the weeds on the editing side of things. I want you to take from this video that you should go out and be inspired by things that you like and find those frames out in the real world. But there is one more thing that I did with this photo just to take a little bit of that digital edge off, give it a little bit more of that 70s Severance and All the President's Men feel, which is to pop it over into Resolve, throw some Filmbox on there. It's gonna give me a little bit of halation, a little bit of grain, and a little bit of that color film tone that I wanted. And so if what I did in Lightroom is the cherry on top, what I do in Filmbox is the whipped cream. I have a far more in-depth video about Filmbox on my main channel. I'll put a link in the description. So if you wanna dive into that and understand why I use Resolve to edit photos as well, go watch that video. But ultimately this video, because of the response to this photo and just seeing how many people loved it, I wanted to just kind of demystify this idea that this stuff doesn't come out of thin air. You have to be inspired by things. It's okay to build upon stuff that you are into. Just don't copy everybody. And I know we are currently in a content market where it is very much encouraged to copy each other, but I'm trying to be a little bit of a beacon of hope that you don't have to copy another creator. You can be inspired by stuff that came out 50 years ago or 60 years ago or 100 years ago. It doesn't really matter. Look in fresh new places to create fresh new ideas. And as you're doing all this, you're just mastering your taste. You're getting better at understanding why you like the things that you like. And when you understand those things better, you create those things better. So let me know if you have any questions about this process, what you thought of the photos, what do you think of these Sirui Anamorphic lenses. Thank you again to Audio for sponsoring this video. That's it. Okay, bye.